Welcome back. WNST, Tass in Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are going to be delivering some ice cream to everybody here. $15.70 off throughout Black Friday for the Taharka specials, the eggnog, the Black is Beautiful, which is a delicious chocolate stout and some oats. I'll be telling you more about that. You can click the home delivery and do that for us. I'll tell you what, I went up on social media on Monday, and I was waiting for football, and I threw a text. That's Pittsburgh, Ravens, Pittsburgh. I thought, I'm going to invite Rod Woodson on a show and see what happens. And he said, yeah, I'll come on the program. And I said, I'm having my favorite Hall of Famer on. So, Rod, I want you to know in the middle of the night, people thought Luis Aparicio was going on the program today, just so you know, all right?
Well, I'm honored that I'm your guy.
You're my favorite Hall of Famer. I don't say that to Ray Lewis. I tell everybody all the time. For you with this Ravens-Steelers thing and where we are in the season and you watching all this, I mean, you're in the league, you coach in the league, you broadcast for the league, all of this. The Ravens have gotten bitten by this COVID thing, and I don't know if they're going to get the game in. I think we worry about that week to week here. But that's certainly something you never had to contend with back in your era, a plague, right?
No, I mean, it's, you try to figure out how they're going to do it. I mean, the NFLPA came together, put a pretty stringent policy together moving forward with the COVID, with all the teams facing this COVID issue across the board. And, the hardest thing is, it all looked great when they're all in the bubble, right? So when they're in training camp, they're in a bubble, everything looked hunky-dory. And if really just go out of football for a hot second and go to hockey that was in a bubble, they didn't have that many positive tests. Basketball was in a bubble. They didn't have that many positive tests. I don't think they had any. I don't recall them having any. But then baseball, remember baseball first started, they had multiple positive tests when it first started because they were not in the bubble. And then the NFL started and they were in the bubble, but they were in training camp. And then they break training camp. Everybody's out of the bubble. Everything was hunky-dory for the first month, and then the second month comes, more positive tests. Third month comes, more positive tests.
Well, not unlike our society, though, at this point, right? Literally.
No, not at all. Not at all. So you're trying to figure out how to curtail this as a league, and it's going to be tough. I know, not having Ingram and Dobbins this week is going to be really tough on the Ravens, especially out of their last 5 games. They're 2-3. And they're not playing great football in the last 5 games, and then you're facing the Steelers, your nemesis, who's 10-0, so that's going to be a tough task.
Yeah, this week you're a Steeler guy, not a Raven guy, right? This week.
No, I'm split. I'm split. I'm biracial in life. And people always ask me this, and I played for 4 iconic owners, right? So I played for the Rooneys. I played for Modell, and I still believe that he belongs in the Hall of Fame. That Modell family belongs in the Hall of Fame. I played for Al Davis, and I played for Ed Bouchard.
DeBartolo.
Eddie DeBartolo, his last year with the 49ers. So, playing for them, but also, being a part of the Ravens when they first got back into the 3rd year, helping build that foundation. I'm every time I watch the game, I'm kind of torn because I spent 10 years in Pittsburgh. I spent 4 years in Baltimore, but I won my Super Bowl in Baltimore, and I have so many friends with the organization still. And the Raven way is the way we kind of started with Marvin Lewis, the 3rd year when Marvin was there. It's still there. And then Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and all the other guys that just kept adding to it. And to see them play each other year in and year out, those 2 games, they're always close games. And it's going to be a close game again. Even though the Ravens aren't playing really good football and the Steelers are, it's going to come down to the last possession.
Rod, I chased down all the Pittsburgh people a month ago, and, the Ravens were smelling better then. The Ravens were considered the better team, reeling from the loss to the Chiefs and whatnot, but things have not been the same around here. And I want to say this, things have not been the same since Marshall Yanda left, and things were never the same for Joe Flacco when Matt Burke left. You're a Hall of Famer. You didn't play on the O-line, but you played in secondaries in 4 different places. There's something about when Ray Lewis leaves you or Matt Burke leaves you or Marshall Yanda leaves you. This was a 14-2 outfit last year. Everybody thought, well, we're just going to plug in and play. I don't think anybody thought they would be 14-2 or 15-1. I don't think you could think like that. But you thought, well, we're going to come back younger and better and stronger. Ronnie Stanley's down. Nick Boyle's down. Defenses, as you well know, have caught up to what Lamar's doing and have schemed for this. Everybody I talked to in Cincinnati, they were still angry about getting dragged by Lamar last year and said, we're not going to have that happen again. We're not going to get our hips turned. So they drafted on defense. Everybody was trying to stop him. And now we're in the middle of a real problem where the defense has been problematic without Calais Campbell, without Brandon Williams. Stanley's not coming back. Boyle's not coming back. And all of a sudden it feels like Lamar doesn't have the help around him. It just feels like last year's a long, long time ago. And whatever that juggernaut was last year, where they're in 2nd and 2 and 2nd and 1, running teams over, taking 8 minutes off the clock, running the ball in a way that nobody's ever done with a running quarterback. This year, it's been a long, long time since last year. It feels completely different.
Well, anytime you lose leadership, when you talk about Yana, you talk about Ray, you lose guys who bring leadership in the locker room. They're going to bring leadership in the meeting rooms. They're going to bring leadership and poise on the sideline during games. And obviously, when Roman brought this system to life here in Baltimore with Lamar, they caught everybody off guard a little bit. I mean, they knew, if anybody remember, they kind of knew what he did with Colin Kaepernick in San Fran, but Lamar runs the ball way better than Colin Kaepernick. So he's just more electric touching the football. And I think his team has caught up to it. And I think the biggest thing for them is that they need to keep that smash mouth mentality. But the one place I'm really disappointed, because they're still scoring 27 points a game, and they're not giving up a bunch of points on defense. But it's those critical moments, because anytime you're, if you're 1 year, you can be 12-4 or 14-2, you're winning so many close games. And then now you're 6-4 and you're losing those close games. And you try to figure out why. And then to me, I look at that Tennessee game last week and I'm like, how does a 3-yard slant from Brown go for a touchdown? Come on. Like, and I love, Marcus Peters. I love the secondary for the Ravens, but you got to make that tackle. You can't have 3 guys bounce off of him and not make the tackle, at least for a 4-yard gain. But you can't get dragged in for a touchdown. I mean, that to me was just, that's not Ravens football. Because Ravens football is hit you in the mouth, and we're gonna put our will against yours, and our will is better. And that didn't happen this past weekend.
Rod Woodson joining us here, the Hall of Famer, Super Bowl 35 champion, my favorite Hall of Famer. And, I don't get to go out to Canton this summer. We've had so many things. Give me a little state of Rod Woodson. I mean, you were coaching with the Raiders and you're doing broadcasting, you're back and forth. And I don't know if you still want to coach or what you're doing at this point, but give me a little, COVID comes March 15th to you like it came to everybody. What's the last 7-8 months of your life been like?
You know what I've done? I was working for the Pro Football Hall of Fame Academy. And then I just, got in my prayer closet. And then I went back to grassroots football. I started my own foundation called Hope Through Football. Right now, obviously, we can't do live clinics or camps. But our initiative is to give kids a platform to hone their skills on the field and off the field, and here in the U.S. and international. So we've done a lot of Zooms with different teams. More international right now, like we've done China, we've done the UK, we did Europe. Probably last week we did 31 countries, and we're just talking American football. And we're giving, it's our hashtag is share the knowledge. And I've been blessed to play in this league in the National Football League for 17 years. So to give back. Give me the website again, Rod. So I pull it up for us here. What is it? It's not up yet.
Okay, it's not up yet. Okay, fair enough.
It's not. So hopethroughfootball.org, but it's going to be both. We own both hopethroughfootball.org and hopethroughfootball.com. So if you pull one up, the other one's going to come up, obviously.
You know what? I got the Facebook page up here. You mind if I share that? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do that. I'm going to share that for you because I want everybody to be able to see and feel in touch what Rod's talking about here. Hope through football and leadership. You know what's amazing? You've called some games over in London, right? You've been over there for this, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Man,
matter of fact, the guy you saw on there.
Okay, I'll pull him back up.
Facebook. That's Coach Turek. He's the head coach for the London Olympians.
Okay, and there
And
you are. I see you.
we kind of stole his hashtag, share the knowledge. And we've always said it. We've always said, older players and older coaches need to share their knowledge that they've gained over their lifetime in and out of sports to the young players and to young coaches. And that's what our mindset is. We want to give everything that we've learned and give that back into kids and to other coaches, because we do, most of it is, when we do our live clinics, we're going to have ghost coaches for free, and then we give back to the community. We give 20% of our proceeds all back to the community, but all that money goes back into different communities around internationally and in the U.S.
Well, you talk about international football and the growth of the game being outside. I mean, there's nobody in Texas or Florida that doesn't know what a football is or can't find a program. But when Neil saved my wife's life back in 2014, he's in Germany. We didn't find him until 16. And the minute we went to his Facebook page, he thought he was a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. It said fan of Steelers. We fixed that. We went over to Germany and fixed all that. But I was shocked in his friends and his circle in the middle of Essen, Germany, that every Sunday night they all gather and watch football at 7 o'clock, which is 1 o'clock here. And his brother had Patriots Tom Brady jersey in the closet. And this is in Germany. Then I went to London with the Ravens three and a half years ago now, and just everywhere you went, there was NFL stuff and NFL jersey. I mean, I don't know the people over here. You would have to go over there and experience it, and maybe have been over to Europe or other places in the world to realize what an incredible growth opportunity it is, because baseball's had trouble in lots of parts of the world, not the Caribbean and other than in Asia, but growing a sport outside of its home base, outside of soccer and basketball around the world, very, very difficult thing to do.
It is, but the one thing I've learned in my time frame of doing all my research, I mean, American football is a popular sport, and the NFL is absolutely popular with all the countries around the world. But if you really think about it, American football has been played for over 100 years in Mexico, which I didn't know that when I first started researching it. And when you start looking at all the international players coming into the NFL, over especially more recent, but Germany's second behind Canada. So it is, and if the way how do you grow your population as a fan base in anything? You got to get to the grassroots of it.
You got to educate people, right? You got to get them interested.
You get interested as a person. So as a kid, I played football and I ran track. So what do I watch? I watch track. I still watch track and field all day long, and I watch football. That's what you follow, what you do as a kid. So that's why I say, as a grassroots, as it grows in the grassroots effort around internationally, the NFL is going to keep growing, because their fan base is going to grow, because kids are going to remember playing flag football or tackle football when they were 13 all the way up through high school. And even if they go to college, because a lot of kids internationally are coming into the U.S. nowadays to play American football. So it gives them a platform that they normally haven't had. I know I didn't have camps like that, and everybody who works our camps are ex-NFL players or ex-NFL coaches. So if you didn't play or coach in a National Football League, you cannot be a coach.
You're not qualified at that level.
I mean, that's why we're saying, obviously you're qualified. There are some good coaches who never coached in the National Football League, but we're bringing the way to play initiative with us from the NFL. And we're trying to teach the right way. And our hashtag share the knowledge is definitely that. Chuck Bresnahan is one of our coaches, and Chuck coached, God, what has he coached 30-some odd years in the National Football League? So coaches like that has an experience that most people don't have, and they don't have access to, especially internationally. So taking him over internationally, having him on our Zoom calls, talking to other coaching staffs is a positive for them, because as their ceiling grows, the player ceilings grow. So as we keep educating the coaches, the players' education should keep getting a little higher, and then they'll start learning the game better at a younger age. And then, hopefully we'll see eventually. My goal is to see, in the NFL, just like there is in basketball, where you have multiple national flags flown on game days.
Rod Woodson is here visiting from the West Coast, and happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving to the whole Woodson clan there. I'm not going to split you up between Ravens and Steelers and have you pick sides and your little family issue that you have here, but let's talk about tackling Lamar. I mean, wasn't that long ago you were running secondary guys around out in Oakland a couple years ago trying to figure this out. The Chargers sort of figured it out 2 years ago in the playoff game. Then Tennessee came over, sort of ran them over and played some Raven ball back in January. Whatever has happened in this offseason with Yonda, with the offense, it's pretty clear that defenses aren't going to let Lamar do what he was doing a year and a half ago.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, once they, you look at their system and everything that they really do is RPO, zone read related. And so when you say that, most of the passes come inside, so inside the numbers. And I think everybody's figured that out. They're packing inside. They're playing more cover 4, more man-to-man, and they're not allowing those passes inside the numbers. So to me, they got to, once Lamar, and he's still growing, he's still becoming, he's a young quarterback in the National Football League, but we all want our young players to play like 10-year vets. And it's kind of unfair to him, but he was so dynamic in his first year and a couple years here that we're putting this label on him already. And I think he has so much growth still. But when he learns and he gets to a point where he can throw the ball outside the numbers, that's just going to add to this offense. The hardest thing when you play against somebody like that is that you have to tackle all 11 players got to come to the ball. Yeah, I mean, when you saw the Chargers, when you saw the Tennessee Titans play against them, they had 11 players at the ball because one player is not going to tackle Lamar Jackson or Ingram's in space. This is not going to happen. So all 11 guys have to do it. And, they understand if you can slow Lamar down, you're slowing the engine to the car down.
For the Steelers on the other side, and I've said this a couple times, my wife and I were watching last year at the end of the year. Ben gets hurt. They're running around with Duck, whatever his name was or whatever. And there's Roethlisberger on the sidelines. He can't work out. Looked like he gained 30 pounds. Looked fat and old and tired and big beard. And we're like, Roethlisberger, fat, old, tired. He's done. I said, don't say that. Don't say it. They're undefeated, Rod. I got Ed Bouchette on earlier, right? I'm chasing all these Pittsburgh guys. They've never seen an undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers team on Thanksgiving night. And to a man, none of them a month ago, even gave a thought to this being a special Steelers team. Boy, a couple things here at work. Roethlisberger won, Tomlin, and whatever that partnership is and the way they draft, and he's a hell of a coach. But whatever this is, I think this is very unexpected, even from old Steeler guys like you, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time a Steelers offense averaged 30 points a game. I can't remember that in my lifetime. It's rare. But the one thing I do give Ben a lot of credit for is that Ben, he took ownership of his life. He kind of came out and said, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, and I'm not going to be that person anymore. And he grew up. He became a mature person. And this is what I always say. When you become a mature human being, a mature man, now you're going to become a mature player. If you're immature outside of football, you're going to be immature inside of football. And that's the one thing that he did. And secondly, drafting Claypool, I mean, nobody thought this kid, and even though he went to Notre Dame, I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but even though he went to Notre Dame, the kid is balling, and he's kind of opened up the offense back up because now you have Juju, you have Claypool, you have Washington, you have Johnson, you have multiple guys they go to, and then Vance McDonald, he just got activated, I think, today. So, their players are getting healthy again, and that defense, ever since they got Minka last year after week 4, that defense mindset switched because he showed them that it's okay to put your foot in the ground and go get a football. It's okay to put your foot in the ground and go take a chance of making a play. And once he started showing everybody, that defense's numbers just shot up.
Rod, I know you love sports. You watch basketball. You know about hockey. You already mentioned all these other sports finished, right? Boy, the NFL better not be the only league that doesn't finish in the middle of the plague, right? And I know you talked about bubbling. You were a player once. You were a coach once. You know about the knocks on the doors in the hotel and where is everybody and who's touching who and who's out at the girly bar and who's out late and who's at clubs and whatever would be available to players. I can't imagine being 23 and being told to stay in my room if I'm playing football. But for these 6 months, the people that are breaking the rules, the people that have children, maybe going to school, coming home, whatever those exposures are, the NFL better make sure they're not the league that doesn't finish. And I would say this. I thought baseball was poor. It was like a tournament. It wasn't like a season, and I'm an old school baseball guy. I thought basketball and hockey were both really just tournaments. They reminded me of Christmas tournaments to some degree, not like real seasons or real championships. Right. This year, the NFL's had integrity. I mean, they played through this thing. They've gotten all their games in till now. I would hate that there would be a suspension of this because the plague, just eats it up, because if they can't get healthy teams to the field, the last 8 teams, say, in January, if they don't move everybody out to Vegas where you are, or out to LA and do that, I think they're gonna struggle, because what I've seen from the Ravens this week, this would really be unacceptable if this were Steelers-Ravens in a playoff game January 8th. What's going on this week?
Yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate part. This COVID, if people have kids, if you have a wife that works, if you have in-laws or somebody staying with you, lives with you because you're taking care of them, you're providing for them, that's what's scary, because those unseen factors, outside of also getting cold in wintertime, everybody's becoming more indoors, so you're having more close contact. That's the scary thing. I mean, we're 10 weeks into this thing, right? So we only have 6 more weeks. I would hope, and I've heard that they do have different scenarios where they can go to a bubble situation for playoffs. So that's a good thing they've already talked about.
By the way, there's so much money at stake, though. You know that, right? I mean, that's really the issue.
Absolutely.
The issue is every one of these guys is Mick Jagger to get him to the field for that month of January, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not only the NFL, but college. I mean, there's colleges that aren't even in school and they're playing.
The college
football.
is a disgrace. If there was ever just what it is, what a mess it is, this year's really, it makes me gag, Rod, watching these kids play. It does.
Yeah. So to get back to the NFL, obviously there's a lot of money at stake. I would think they do have different protocols in place. They do have different scenarios in their heads. But, like this week, not having Ingram and Dobbins, they're going to, unless other players test positive, they're going to play. And, and it's unfortunate for the Ravens that they have to play without Ingram, because to me, Ingram, it was one of the reasons last year that they didn't play with that vigor in the postseason, because he didn't play. He gives them that dog. He gives them that downhill thumper on a consistent basis. And he'll get up and he'll get in your face. So, so that type of attitude is contagious on teams, and not having that going against the Steelers, especially this year, it's just, I think it's going to be a tough task for him.
Don't curdle my eggnog, Woodson. Come on. You were my favorite Hall of Famer 20 minutes ago. Let's keep it that way, man.
Hey, listen,
come on.
I still think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to come down to the final possession. But it's just a tougher task for them because you don't have that guy. You don't have two of your – it was a 3-headed monster, really 4-headed monster if you include, Lamar, running the football. And now you take 2 of those pieces out, and now you got Lamar and Edwards basically. And, they're going to have to make sure that, obviously the Steelers are going to try to stop the running game. And, they're going to have to be able to throw the football down the field to get them to loosen up a little bit.
You missed the parade in 01, didn't you? You did not attend. You went to the Pro Bowl, didn't you?
Went to the Pro Bowl. When it was the last time it was in I don't think it was the last time. But
we went there a few times after.
Yes.
So I was working for Sporting News then, and they wanted me to go do the Pro Bowl that week, and I turned down a trip to Hawaii. I didn't make it till last year. I mean, first time I was in Hawaii in my life was last year, and I was like, wow, why didn't anybody tell me it was this nice? It's really nice. So it was just a long way from where we are. So I didn't make it. Mike Flynn and I rode in the parade together that day. It's a long story, but Billick sort of made me do it. I had caught a cold in Tampa, And it was probably the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. Birth of my child, wedding, things like that. But that parade was unbelievable. And I held the camera for Flynn. Remember, David Modell gave you all cameras, remember? And I held that. He lost the tape for 19 years, Rod. And he finally found the tape back in the middle of the plague back in April.
Really?
And he mailed it to me, a little tape. And I actually, it's an hour and 7 minutes of the parade, and I found it. I had him on 2 weeks ago, and I was with Brian Billick earlier this morning on a Zoom call with our friends at Faidley's. If you need some crab cakes, order them from Faidley's, Rod. They'll be delicious. They'll be there tomorrow. But some of your blood brothers from that team. This was the 20th anniversary, man. Like, and Flynn was like, man, we got screwed out of this because of COVID. We got to get, Dick and Steve to make this right next year. Is there a little part of you with the, 20 years, 25, getting this far into it, that team has some special significance for you of all of them? Because we had a lot of fun here, didn't we, 20 years ago?
We did, man. I tell you what, listen, when I got there in 98, and I mean, I say this all the time, if I was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, I would live in Baltimore. It's a beautiful place, beautiful city, beautiful area, so convenient. People were great, so friendly. And what I enjoyed in my 4 years is just how we grew as friends. I still talk to Ray and Shannon and Goose and all those guys, Corey Harris, I still talk to all those guys. So having that friendship, and we did a Zoom call earlier this year.
I saw that.
Remember, we did a game, and then my internet here it was windy that day here, and my internet just went. It kicked me out like 3 times.
I got on for a while. I saw Mulatalo in there. I saw Coach in there. It was awesome, man. It was really cool.
And so being on there, seeing those guys again. I know I didn't do the. I didn't do the parade because I was like, I came to Baltimore to get the ring. I got the ring. I don't need the parade. I'd rather go to Hawaii than the parade with the family. So, but to not be able to come back and be with the guys and see the guys, that's a little unfortunate.
Well, the good news is I got the video to parade for you, Rod. So and you didn't have to get wet, and it was 85 and sunny where you were. It was cold as hell and raining.
it was really nice in Hawaii. It's always nice in Hawaii.
Well, hey, man, take care of yourself out there. You look great. Stay healthy. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. And hopefully the 21-year Super Bowl 35 reunion will bring everybody back here, man. I got my NFL credential form for the Super Bowl, and I didn't even fill it out because, I'm not going. This is just we're just going to take a pass this year, and hopefully this time next year we can get the shot. We all go back to living normal lives, hopefully.
I mean, I don't even know if they're going to have – are they saying they're going to have fans at the Super Bowl?
No, I don't know what they're doing. That's why I didn't sign on. I said, I'm not going. I mean, I can't have you at my table, sitting and talking like normal people. So, that's what I do.
You just got to have a mask on, man. You just got to,
No. I'm going to text you. I'll get you on Super Bowl week on Zoom, just like this. How about that? All right?
Sounds good, brother.
Good luck with your football and with your program out there. We're going to send everybody out to chase that down and stay in touch, all right?
Hey, I'll text you the site when it's up. It'll be up in about 2 weeks.
Let me know. We'll visit again at the holidays, promote it some more, okay?
All right, brother. Take care.
Rod Woodson, my favorite Hall of Famer, joining us here from Las Vegas, Nevada, home of the Las Vegas Raiders. I still call them Oakland. I know you do too. Next, BaltimorePositive.com finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat. We're delivering ice cream to Harka Ice Cream. Wake and bake, the eggnog, the peppermint bark. It's all available for you. One click on home delivery, saving $15.70 on home delivery to your door. 8 pints, $40 and some change. Take care of our good friends. Serving up social change one scoop at a time. It's our friends at DeHarka Brothers. Make sure the Honey Graham is involved. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Super Bowl 35 highlights with our Hall of Fame friends.